You're watching UATV News. My name is Ina Kosinska. Good evening. Ukraine has not received a final report from Iran on downing of the Ukrainian plane in January this year, shortly after its departure from Tehran airport. A representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Oleg Nikolenko, announced this in an exclusive interview with our channel. According to him, report on the crash is a key stage in the investigation and punishment of those responsible for the death of 176 people.
The Ukrainian side has not yet received a draft technical report prepared by Iran. I would like to remind you that the final report on the crash is a key step in establishing justice in the case of downing of the Ukrainian plane. It should contain conclusions on the technical condition of the aircraft, the actions of the pilots, the interaction of Iranian civilian specialists at Tehran airport and the military who downed the plane. We require that this report be provided as soon as possible.
Ukraine will never refuse from Crimea and Donbas. This was stated by Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba. Negotiations on peace in the east of Ukraine at the level of the Normandy 4 advisors might take place already in January. Ukrainian delegation plans to prepare a package of proposals to resolve the conflict. More on the perspectives of the Normandy peace talks in the following report.
The next meeting is expected to be held in Berlin. Advisors to heads of the Normandy 4 states, Ukraine, Russia, France and Germany plan to discuss the settlement of the conflict in Donbas early next year. According to head of the presidential office, Andriy Yermak, this meeting can become an impetus for the preparation of the highest-level Normandy summit. We plan to hold a Normandy format meeting of advisors by the end of January. Berlin is being discussed as a meeting place. We planned a meeting of advisors as a tool for preparing the meeting of leaders of the Normandy format. Previously, this meeting was scheduled for December 2020, however, it was not carried out. The main argument was the incomprehensible situation with the pandemic, and we decided to abstain from meetings. The order and protocol of the future meetings is being discussed amid the vaccination and everything else. It is quite likely that a meeting will take place even in person, although the format of video conference is not excluded. The issue of disengagement of forces and weapons in Donbass is planned to be discussed as well. According to Andriy Yermak, 4 sides are already approved. However, the agreements do not yet guarantee the result, since the opposite side often does not fulfill them, experts say. The disengagement is carried out in separate areas. This is important from the point of view of how the Ukrainian side proposes to ensure, for example, the normal operation of checkpoints. We have prepared not just simple checkpoints, but made the service centers. There are 2 of them in the Luhansk region. Demining of territories is an important topic as well. Since the beginning of 2021, it will be held at 19 approved grounds. There are only 87 cemeteries on the demarcation line, where Ukrainian citizens from both sides visit their relatives. President Zelensky in Paris proposed to prepare their areas. It concerns either cemeteries or approaches to the checkpoints or places where infrastructure facilities are, for example, that provide water supply. First of all, seasonal workers and technical personnel work there, and there is no point in putting them at risk. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba says the Normandy format has the potential to resolve the conflict. At the same time, in an interview with the German magazine International Politik, he said Ukraine does not allow the option of maintaining Russia's influence in Donbass in exchange for peace. The status of the regions that are now temporarily under occupation is only conceivable within the framework of Ukraine and in the course of decentralization, which we are now successfully implementing. This gives the regions the right to independently manage their budgets and elect their local representatives. But we will never allow the region to be outside the Ukrainian constitution and legal system, for example, to hold elections in accordance with a different electoral law than the one that is applied in Ukraine. According to the Office of the President of Ukraine, consultations within the frameworks of the Normandy format do not stop. The last time the advisors met in September, and the Normandy 4 summit at the level of heads of the state was held on December 9, 2019 in Paris. There they agreed on the exchange of detainees, the withdrawal of troops and demining, as well as approved mechanisms for maintaining the ceasefire. Reported by Nick Starkov, Yulia Krychkova, UATV News.
Illegal armed groups in Donbas confirmed the detention of the 251 Ukrainian citizens. This was reported by the authorized representative of the Verkhovna Rada for Human Rights, Lyudmila Denisova. The Ukrainian delegation within the trilateral contact group submitted their list for release 2 months ago, but Russia is blocking the process. Ukrainian economy will lose 5.4% of GDP in 2020, but these coronavirus losses are less than the average in the EU countries. This was announced by the Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Agriculture, Igor Petrashko. The most difficult was the second quarter, minus 11.5% of GDP. In the same period, the economies of the EU states lost 13%, but since July, the macroeconomic indicators began to stabilize. In the third and fourth quarters of 2020, the decline was about 3% of the gross domestic product.
Speaking of November 2020 compared to November 2019, we see that we have stabilized the index of industrial production. A drop of minus 0.3% is within the error. The index of agricultural production is growing by 11.3% in November and November 2019. Retail sales also grew by 12.1%, indicating a resumption of economic activity.
They hope for the best, and most of all, they want peace and health. The coronavirus has made adjustments to the wish list that Ukrainians will make on the New Year's Eve. This is the data by Democratic Initiatives Foundation. Due to the pandemic, 8 out of 10 Ukrainians will spend holidays with their families. Almost no one wants to celebrate the holidays in restaurants.
What is included into the top 10 of the most desirable gifts for Ukrainians in the new year? It's good job, the success of children and love. Every 10th dreams of a long life, interesting travels and cures for the coronavirus. And this year, coronavirus drugs have outpaced winning the lottery.
High blood pressure and sugar, arthritis and depression, they have forgotten about all this. And despite their age, in any weather they get together to race walk. Our correspondent visited one of the trainings of the members of the All-Ukrainian Walking Federation.
Every Wednesday and Sunday morning, a group of 30 senior but very active and smiling people in yellow suits gather together in Shevchenko Park in the central of Kyiv. Switching on rhythmic music and with a coach at the head, they start a warm-up. Take the air, jump there. Let's sing a song. Hold your hands straight. Next exercise, a refrigerator. The refrigerator will be after Cheburashka. Lock 1, lock 2. Put your hands on the back of your head. Show me Cheburashka's ears. Show your hands. In the 1970s, Alexander Shimko was the vice champion of the USSR in race walking and the 7th at the World Championship. 14 years ago, he organized a health walking group to involve his wife in sports and help her cope with diseases. The healing effect is noticeable after just a few trainings. Depression disappears, hypertension disappears, blood sugar level decreases as well because walking is a great exercise. It is kind of a pill, not a candy. It's a reward for the body.
After classes, I measured my blood pressure at home. Earlier, it was 150 to 90. After I started exercises, it decreased to 130 to 60.
Larissa admits that after 10 years of sport walking, she feels much better. She's also become friends with many people, and at her 80s, she has completely stopped thinking about age. The woman has even written a poem.
What a nonsense it is to count the years. There is a figure in the passport and that's enough. Just live, sing, dance and don't be afraid to change your life.
Pensioners all over Ukraine, including those living in separate areas of Donetsk and Luhansk regions uncontrolled by Kyiv, are engaged in trainings according to Alexander Shimko's method. His trainees have already won 108 gold medals at the World and European Veterans Championships, reported by Nick Starkov, Olena Diduch, UATV News.
They're growing loudly, they move their tails and blink. An exhibition of robotic dinosaurs was opened in the Vinnytsia Zoo. 17 exhibits were brought from China. Each item is a realistic and a real-size model of the Mesozoic-era giant reptiles. Our correspondents have also attended the exhibition.
Looks like alive. Those dinosaurs can move their bodies, jaws, they blink and even show their tongues. Each fold can be seen in detail on skin. Robotic reptiles were elaborated with the highest possible level of precision. There is a metal inside, covered with foam rubber. Silicon is used as a cover. One of the collection's tallest exhibits is a giant T-Rex model. It rises for more than 10 meters above the park. And the small one fits into one's arms. It looks alive and workers allowed to pet it. I hold a baby Tyrannosaur in my hands. His mom is on the back. These species are not live breeders. They hatch out of eggs. When just born, the little baby weighs up to 10 kilograms. All visitors have an opportunity to pet a giant or even a horse dinosaur's backs. Most of the young visitors easily recognized each of the creatures. They know almost all the names. T-Rex here, Tyrannosaur there. Of course, it's interesting to them. Dinosaurs died out during the Ice Age, and all this started in Triassic period. To make the park not just spectacular but also fact-driven, an information stand in Ukrainian and English is set next to each model. 3 more dinosaur models are going to appear in the zoo before Christmas. Reported by Nick Starkov, Arina Kantanistova, Vitaly Demets, UATV News.
That's all for this hour. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and good night.